Hello everybody, it's Dio from Firm But Fair Gaming bringing you another video. Enjoying all the videos and content we produce, don't forget to click on that subscribe button, click on that like button, and don't be afraid to share. Don't forget to click on the notification button, customize it however you want, but that way you're notified whenever we publish another video. Hello everyone and welcome to another Diablo 3 video here in Season 26. Today we are going to be looking at the gears of Dreadlands. I don't know why I wanted to say Dreadlords. Dreadlands build for the Demon Hunter. So for those who are unfamiliar, let's just go over the set bonuses. So the two-piece bonus is we're going to gain 4 seconds of momentum when attacking with a primary skill to a max of duration of 20 seconds, and your primary skill deals 10% increased damage per second momentum. Just to give you a view of what that looks like. So a Hungering Arrow is a primary skill. We're going to get that momentum so we can actually run fast, but more importantly, when we're strafing, we're going to go really fast. The 4-piece is strafing against enemies will automatically shoot your last primary skill used and also gives 60% damage reduction while strafing. And for 5 seconds afterwards, while strafing, you gain the 8% increased movement speed for each momentum stack that we just showed. And so as you can see, as I was spinning around, we're also shooting that Hungering Arrow out as well. Then lastly, our 6-piece bonuses, our primary skills deal 15,000% increased damage, which is going to make Hungering Arrow hit like a truck. That is the 6-piece bonus. So let's see what items we need. For our items, actually, let me just throw up a video down here in the bottom left. So it's just the GR90 just to show kind of what the gameplay looks like. But anyway, so the items we need. This is not a Ring of Royal Grandeur build, so we are going to need all 6 pieces. That's the helm, shoulders, chest, gloves, pants, and boots. Our complementary pieces, we have a Squirt's Necklace, so that is whenever we're not taking damage, we get a stacking buff up to 100% increased damage, and then our damage taken is increased by up to 50% as well. For our bracers, we're going to be using the Wraps of Clarity, so our hatred generators reduce our damage taken by 50% for 5 seconds, so survivability item there. Hunter's Wrath for a belt, our primary skills attack 30% faster and deal up to 200% increased damage. So again, Hungering Arrow is our primary skill, so it's going to be dealing more damage with that. Our rings, we are using Focus and Restraint. This is both going to give us damage increase as well as some survivability. So when we hit with the resource generating attack or primary skill, we deal 50% increased damage. When we hit with a resource spending attack, we deal 50% increased damage for 5 seconds. For our weapons, we are using the Dawn, so it's going to reduce the cooldown of Vengeance by 65%. And also we're going to be using Valor's Bequest, so our Strafe projectiles now pierce. Also, we do have that benefit of our increases our straight damage as well. Not such a big deal because most of our damage is coming from Hungering Arrow. Just a nice little benefit, but mainly we're just obviously want these Strafe projectiles to pierce. Taking a look at the cube, so we are using the 9th series satchel here. So Hungering Arrow is guaranteed to pierce and also deals 600% increased damage. And now Hungering Arrow can just pierce up to 4 times. Our armor enchant, keep calling it enchant. So we're going to be using Depth Diggers because our primary skills deal 100% more additional damage. Again, Hungering Arrow is a primary skill. And lastly, we're going to be using the Convention of Elements so that when we go through our primary element, we are going to be dealing extra damage from our Hungering Arrow for that as well. A side note is that if you find you are a little bit squishy, we could always also include the Elusive Ring to give us that 60% extra damage reduction, but as we progress higher, we're going to need the extra damage, which is why Convention of Elements comes into play. For our legendary gems, we are going to be using Simplicity Strength because it increases the damage of our primary skills by up to a certain percent based on the rank. And at rank 25, hits with the primary skills also heal us for 4% of our max health, so some survivability there. Of course, we're going to Bane of the Trap, so increase damage against enemies under the effect of control impairing effects by a certain percent. Then at rank 25, we gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30%, thus proccing the damage benefit we get from Bane of the Trap. Works on everything except for Juggernauts, because of course they're immune. And then lastly, we're going to be using Teguk, so we're going to gain a percent increased damage for 1.5 seconds when we spend resource on a channeled skill, like Strafe, and then this effect stacks up to 10 times, and then we're going to gain 2% increased armor for every stack. For our regular gems, we're going to be using diamonds in everything, so in our armor. So in the helm, of course, gives us cooldown. And then in our pants and chest, we're going to get resist all. Dexterity becomes armor, so we're a little bit weak against magic damage. So this is where we're going to pick up some extra resistance there. And then, of course, we're going to be using emeralds in our weapons for the increase critical hit damage from there. So the skills that we need for this, we're going to be rocking Darkheart Vengeance with the Darkheart rune. So basically this is going to turn us into a damage dealing machine, and we're going to want to pop that as much as possible. So as soon as it's off CD, pop it again. Or if you're just kind of transitioning from moving, trying to get into a bigger pack, you obviously save it, but we want to use that as often as possible. Preparation with punishments. So this is going to let us instantly restore some hatred. And then we're going to also be using here. So here's our strafe. So strafe with rocket storm. So shoot at nearby enemies while moving. And then we're going to shoot Homan rockets while moving. Requires the bow. So obviously we have the crossbow, so that's fine. Then for our defensive, we are going in here. We have a smoke screen. So we're just going to vanish from sight for a limited time and get movement speed. So a nice little get out of danger there. Some increased survivability functionality. Of course, we have here Hungering Arrow with Puncturing Arrow that gives the high chance to pierce, and they seek out additional enemies. And then lastly, we're going to be using the Wolf Companion. So your wolf howls, granting you and your allies increased damage for a short duration. Then for our passes, I'm using Ambush, so we deal 40% additional damage against enemies above 75%. Call of the Week, increased damage against slowed or chilled enemies. So Bane of the Trapped is going to proc that, give us some damage there. Steady aim, and then as long as we kind of stay out of range of outside the 10 yards, we're going to get 10% increased damage as well. So this is going to help when we're kind of spinning around, help deal damage to those that are kind of far away. And then lastly, we have the archery here for our increased damage with our 5% critical hit chance with our hand crossbows. For the rotation, basically when we get inside, we're going to want to kind of spam our Hungering Arrow to get our movement speed up. And then we're going to start strafing for the damage mitigation. And just start going through the map with increased movement speed. Every few seconds, we're going to want to shoot a Hungering Arrow to keep our momentum at 20. And then as soon as we encounter enemies, we're going to pop our Vengeance for the increased damage. And kind of saving our smoke screen for if we ever get into trouble. Just right now, I kind of have the shield, so obviously I'm not really in trouble. So we're just using the smoke screen again, like if we didn't have it, if we're getting into trouble, just to get that little bit of defensive mobility with the increased movement speed. You can obviously use it if even when not in trouble for the increased movement speed. But otherwise, we're just strafing around, spinning, using Vengeance whenever we can, popping every few seconds, shooting a Hungering Arrow to keep our stacks at 20, keeping our Wolf Companion out on CD as well. And that is basically all there is to it. We're going to also use our punishment to restore our hatred whenever that's starting to drop. So basically using CDs as they come off, keeping our momentum stack up, and just spinning our way to victory. That brings us to the end of the video. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know below. I will do my best to answer them. This is a pretty solid push build. It is not as good as the Marauders, but it is still a pretty solid build. And it's great for farming bounties. I'll be doing a video on that as well. Anyways, if you have any questions, please let me know. As always, we appreciate any likes, shares, and subscribes, so please click those buttons. And as always, keep coming back. We're going to be doing a lot more videos here for Season 26, so be sure to come back and check those out. So I hope you're enjoying Season 26, and we'll see you in the next video.